Well, everybody, I'll just kind of get going, and if we pick up any stragglers, then we can pick them up along the way. So I appreciate everybody's time. May the 4th be with you. As I say with a lisp, it's one of my favorite days. What I wanted to do for this is really just present what Phoenix is going to be, what the layout's going to be, where it's going to be, and really just get some feedback. I also wanted to let everybody know what the plan is for me, for Mac. How is this going to work logistically with Chelsea up front? You know, I'm also involved with Thrive Ballpark. So I've got a lot of things going on, and just wanted to do a little bit of feedback and Q&A. See if you guys could shoot some holes in this. So pretty informal, but if anybody sees something as I go through this, feel free and shout out, and we'll go through a little bit. So that sounds okay. I think we'll get started. So at a very high level, you have Phoenix, the urban sprawl that is Phoenix, and triple digits. So their downtown is right here, and Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport is right here. Our location is just south of downtown. So what this area has been described as is this is the Rhino of Phoenix. So there's this is your warehouse buildings, your boat trust buildings that aren't really anywhere else in this entire urban sprawl. So very unique stuff down here. This is our building, this guy right here. We have parking over to the side. Mike Wolf, if you're looking, these are our beautiful new RTUs that were just installed from the previous tenant. We have some covered parking here, but I'm going to be parking some shipping containers here, and that's going to be our storage component to this site. And we'll get a little bit more into that as I go through the layout. This is all the parking that we have access to. This is about $70 a month. Have yet to see whether we supplement that a little bit, but plenty of parking in and around this area. There is a major fuel line that runs underneath this out to Sky Harbor Airport. So they're not going to be going vertical anytime soon. Also with the layout, you're going to have the light rail stopping right here and right here heading to downtown. So you're going to have light rail access directly on the block that we're on. So that can help a little bit more with, parking and all that stuff. This right here, just down the street, is the Deuce. One of the things that we don't have around here at Tradecraft is any places to eat very close. That is going to be, shouldn't be a problem in this place. So the Deuce, really funky bar that's been there for a while. They've got live music, pretty decent food. But then all of your eateries are, you get into downtown, it's really right here. So a lot of places to eat along in here. Any questions so far? Great. This is our interior space. This is what it looks like. So Matterport, courtesy of the listing brokers. But as you can see, got a huge barrel truss ceiling. It's all wide open. They've already done the polished concrete floors. This ductwork, as I told Mike Wolf, there's not even any dust on it. They installed it brand new when they did this back in 2015, and all done to A2 occupancy. So fully sprinklered. They've got plenty of fresh air, and they've already got lights, some really cool light distribution in here. Few overhead doors. This is on the north side, so there are no windows facing south. So we avoid a lot of that thermal gain, but tons of natural light in this place. As I'll show you on the floor plans, this area down here is going to have some dedicated desks. few offices up around there. All of this area is going to be offices here. And I would like to get into the floor plan to start to discuss this, because this is one of the first things I wanted to ask everybody. This is our floor plan. So if I toggle back and forth, I think you can kind of see like this space right here is where is that? Is where I'm at right here. So we're looking at the wide open space. All of those are going to be offices, and all of those are going up to approximately 9 foot without ceilings. So we're going to be adding acoustic insulation along the barrel truss ceiling, but that goes up 24 feet, and a lot of different spaces for sound to get trapped. So you're always going to have a background noise, but you're not going to hear what the next person to your next office is saying if they're on the phone. I really want some feedback on this, guys, because this is a great way to build it. We're not going to have to drop in ductwork to all of these offices, lights, fire sprinkler, everything. But it's built off of that idea that you want some background noise. You don't want to be in a complete library, but you don't want to hear what the next person in the next office is specifically saying. So if anybody would like to unmute and let me know what they think about that idea, I'd love to hear it.
Bryce, I know you've talked about that before, that you wish you had more office space where you are now. So I think that's a really good way to do that. And then looks like there's offices enclosed around the edges.
Yeah, so these are enclosed around the edges. These are enclosed around, there's another space that I haven't shown in this. And these offices between here, they have the acoustic panels that we just got. So we'll be able to combine these offices. Say if somebody moves into one of these 100 square foots, those are 8 by 12. And if they decide they're growing too quickly, we can take down these walls. These are meant to be combined together. Here, here, here. These, not so much. These are your 900 square foot offices, and these are going to stay pretty well themselves. But Nick, Matt, Mike, what do you guys think about that idea of open ceilings there?
Bryce, we run into a lot of problems with sound transmission in offices, which would have a ceiling in it, so I would be, it would concern me a bit that the sound transmission could still, I see what you're saying, it's going to go up. But I still, I would be a little weary of what, like you said, you're going to hear background noise, but as far as hearing your neighbor next door, a lot of times we see that in offices with ceilings in them, where the walls go 6 inches above grid. Obviously not if the walls are running all the way up, but we get a lot of feedback from clients on sound transmission. So that's always something I'd be weary of. But in that type of building, I mean, you don't really want to run the walls all the way up or hang grid and run duct work and everything. So I think it's probably the best concept for the space. I would just be concerned of sound transmission.
That's why I'm bringing it up, is I think it's a great idea in concept. I think we're going to need to, so I'm going to be hiring an acoustic engineer just to help us out with, where does that sound go in this office? How does it bounce around? And how do we mitigate that as best as we can? So it could be that above these walls here, there might be a couple of other acoustic panels that go to try and dampen that sound between going from one office to another. I think it's going to be something that we'll have to keep iterating until we really get it. But to your point on the sound transmission office to office, I've noticed that very much where people are in quiet offices, and they can hear everything of what the other person's saying because there's not that background noise.
Sure.
We get that over at Thrive quite a bit, and that's their walls go to grid; they don't go beyond, which is horrible. You're always going to hear something there. So yeah, anybody else? Okay, well, I'll keep going on that. So we're going to have 3 conference rooms here along the south side. And this is our golf simulator / cigar room / whiskey room that's over here. One of the other things that I've got in this floor plan is I've got a lot more huddle / breakout rooms. So we've got 5 different phone booths, what we're calling the Zoom rooms. So they're a little bit more. So if you need to have a loud conversation, or if there's 2 or 3 people in your office and it's getting loud, you can book these rooms. There's 2 above. So I guess there's 7 in this space, as well as the 3 conference rooms. So, and then all these huddle booths here and booths here. So some of the feedback that we've gotten from this is you want the various levels of volume. So in the main space, it can be distracting, but you just go there, answer your email, and if somebody's talking, it doesn't really, it's not that big a deal. But you want a semi-private or like more recessed space in order to have a conversation with somebody where you don't feel like you're out in the open with everybody. Is that, am I saying that about right? Bob, Nick?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That gives people an option if they're discussing something they don't want anybody else to hear, for sure.
Right.
I wonder if there's such a thing as white noise. It can be.
Yeah, the white noise is going to be in these big hallways here.
Oh, okay.
Way up at the top. So it's going to be that combination of acoustic treatments plus the white noise in space.
Can you hear me, Bryce?
I can.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to unmute and the program flipped out and I had to like totally crash the process and start over. But I've been here the whole time. So the only thing I would say about HVAC is, yeah, like if you're trying to do modular offices, we definitely don't want to be in a scenario where every single time someone wants to knock down a wall, we got to like change the ductwork. Also, you've got this, really unique and aesthetically hip, trendy, pleasing, open ceiling area. We don't want to have like a duct going down to each one of those 100 square foot. It would look terrible. So while I like, the design and it has a lot of cost savings, the only thing I would say is, based on some of the feedback we could take from your current location, we should be potentially looking at zoning, especially like maybe a zone for like the offices that are on the outer areas, against the envelope of the building.
So Mike, we wouldn't be distributing ductwork to all these offices. Essentially what you see up here is what you're getting for distribution for the entire space.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, that just comes to the cost of comfort. I was not, again, I definitely don't recommend dropping it to each office or even close. I was just thinking you would have like, say, a main distribution line that was over the outside offices and a main distribution line that was over the inside offices. And there was 2 different thermostats. But if you don't want to get into all that, you don't have to. You're just going to experience, this tug of war of comfort between the people on the outside offices and the people on the inside offices.
Yeah, good. I'd be curious to see, because we have that here at Tradecraft, but those offices are enclosed. And if you have the heat dissipating out of those perimeter offices and you're getting more circulation just throughout the space with the big ass fans and all of that stuff, whether I'm curious to see how big a deal that is.
Yeah,
because you're not getting a whole lot of thermal gain in with any of these offices. It's all these windows are on the east and north side, essentially.
Okay, yeah, so you'd really more have a problem in heating season, right? You'd have the people on the exterior offices with the, you know, the exposure to the envelope running just a little cooler than the interior offices. And depending where you put the thermostat is going to depend who is
Yeah, who's controlling the space? Yeah. Yeah, so certainly something to talk through. As you guys can see, like it's just really, really similar aesthetics to what we've got at Tradecraft now. So that's why we're looking at the space. It's more expensive than I wanted, but we're saving a lot because we don't have to redo a lot of the interior aesthetic. It's pretty well set for us. This area up here was going to be dedicated desks, and then we'd have offices along this wall here.
And is this on a separate zone also, the mezzanine, or no?
Yes, that's on a separate zone. Each one of those trunk lines that you're seeing can be on its own zone.
Okay.
So not really touching the bathrooms. They actually, it looks like use the same tile as I did up here at the current Tradecraft. Break room, we're really not going to be touching right now. It's not perfect, but I think it works for us. So this is the other side, and this is where we're going to be actually building those mezzanines. So Mike, there is going to be, this is where our distribution is going to be between the conference rooms, and then as we're building these guys right here. So this is going to be the first floor office suites and the mezzanine suites right here. So you're going to have that second floor. Guys, I gotta mute really, really quick, and I'll be right back. Sorry about this. Sorry, guys. That was actually the phase one and appraiser going to look at this building right now, and they couldn't get in. So, okay, so this, you've got your larger offices here, and then your premier offices. So again, in keeping with what we're doing at Tradecraft here, one is I wanted to be able to have small dedicated desk, larger dedicated desk, smaller office, bigger office, even bigger office. So just making more assets for companies to be able to expand and to grow into, rather than limiting ourselves on the office sizes and number of offices. So with that, second question I wanted to pose to everybody, because this is a really, really big deal. And I don't want to assume that the way I'm building it is the way that everybody's going to want it. So Nick, I'd love to hear your take on this as well. So because this space is in hip, cool part of town, it's built out the way we want, it's the square footage we want, everything's great with it. But you'll notice we don't have 2 acres here that has trailer parking and a bunch of shipping containers that we can put on this. We're going to be putting about 12 to 14 shipping containers here. And so we'll have some access to storage, but we're not going to have, 3 acres worth, which is what I would prefer if we were doing this as a stamp to other locations around the nation. So my big question to everybody, this is really the $1 million question, is with the office layout and office or access to amenities to what we're having here based on what you know of Tradecraft, do you think we could attract contractors into a place like this and they would be able to solve their storage needs in a place that has 118 degrees, mind you? Maybe they do storage that's closer to their job sites, closer to where their crews are living, but could find a way to solve that issue of trailer parking and storage if we run out of that here. Is our offices and the community and what we're doing here enough of a draw to keep contractors interested in a place like this?
Bryce, I think it probably is. I mean, how big is that space for trailers? And
It's 18,000 square foot. Our current location is 19,000 square foot,
so it's a little smaller.
just a little bit.
Are those going to be 20s or the other
20s.
Okay. The other option would be to put them in sideways, put some 40s in there and then divide them up in smaller cubes.
Yep. And we couldn't park them underneath the shade for over there. We'd really need to park the 20s in some of those parking spots.
Okay.
Nick, I don't want to hear what you have to say, but I want to hear it.
Well, as far as for us as a GC, operation wise, we could live without the containers if we had to. We could find something else to do. But I know a lot of the other subcontractors and a lot of the other companies in this building rely heavily on that storage. So
Yeah.
For us, it would be fine. But I think some of the other the other companies would need that.
Yep. I think our mix is going to change with this location. I think we're going to have less, we're not going to be able to accommodate some of those guys that just have the membership just because they get the storage container for it. So we're going to lose some of those. But my hope is that there's enough other construction related businesses that don't need them, or they can solve that problem in a different way because they need climate controlled or they need something else. What we still will have at this location is you can drop pallets, you can get deliveries delivered here and have somebody at our front desk sign for them if there's materials getting dropped. So you still have the business mailing address and those things, but it's going to be more of a short term. Those are going to need to get out to a job site within a few days. The other thing this place has is this is a fenced off courtyard area. This is where those shipping containers are going to be. So we can have outdoor space for utilizing for building stuff. So if contractors needed to build mock-ups or a little bit more of the loud activities, we've got a brick wall here, and then we've got other walls inside here before you get into the offices. So there's more of that courtyard aspect where if they needed to do some small welding or small projects, we've got that more here than we do at current location.
Yeah, I think that's a big benefit. And like you said, your tenants will be a bit different than what you have around here. So, and they may already have storage options. Yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. I don't know. I don't think that's
okay. That was the big question. I really wanted to put past you guys. That's what I thought in observing how I've seen members use the space. But I didn't want to, come into it like, Bryce, what are you thinking? That's the worst idea in the world. This is our north side of the location. And so there's also some space out here for if we wanted to do more of that coffee shop When it's not 118 degrees, we can get stuff going out here. We can also, in that courtyard back here, we can do more of the events at night. So we can do either rehearsal dinners, or we do some barbecues or stuff out there. We're going to have that cigar lounge, whiskey room, and then you can have the long table out there in the courtyard.
Bryce, can you swing back into that back part where that roof is and stuff? Is that covered? Did you say that's covered?
Part of it is covered. How do I get back?
If not, that's okay, but
Whoops. There we go into the Pacific. So this is the
so where
back
those two
area.
white,
This is the courtyard. We put some shading over this area eventually. This is where the containers, some of the containers would be for the storage. So
that's not a roof there though, right?
it is.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a carport like just canopy. So we'd be able to shade those containers
oh, good.
from some of the thermal gain. Mike, this is our southern exposure, and these are our rooftop units. So this is where all of our Solex could be going on that barrel truss.
Yeah, you even got room for PV above it.
Yeah.
Depending on, you know,
This area is a little packed in here, but I think this would be a natural spot for some of the Solex and other stuff that we've been thinking about.
yeah. Is that due south?
I mean, this is right here, that's south. So it is pretty close to, I would say, due south. So, well, that's it, guys. I mean, that's what we're thinking. So in the more of the logistics of how this would work, we're on the fundraise right now. So we've got verbal commitments of about 700,000. We're trying to raise the 1.2. Conversations that we're having are sounding promising. So I think we're going to be able to get there. Jesus is in with me on this. So he's coming along as a general partner in order to make sure that the deal happens. We would be closing in mid-July, so I'm going to wait until it gets really nice and fucking hot before I head on down there. And then we're going to be running the AC in here pretty much full bore. I've allotted 6 months for the interior build out. And while that's going on, I'm moving down here. So I'm going to be down here working from Monday through Thursday and fly back up here Thursday night. So I'm going to be back at Tradecraft and Thrive Fridays and Saturdays. So I'm really going to be a man on the road here for a bit. But that's what it's going to take in order to manage the interior TI of this. So with that, Chelsea's going to be up front. I've talked with her. We're going to get her a pay raise, but she's going to be man in the front and pouring the coffees and everything from 7:30 in the morning to 5 at night. And we're going to be looking for somebody else to supplement her just in case something happens. So she's probably got a friend that does graphic design or some kind of contracting work where they can work remote. So if anything happens, that person can be up at the front. When we open down here, I'm going to be down here full time, making sure the first 3 months are really the critical months to make sure that move-ins are happening, troubleshoot anything that's not working, which it's construction. There's always going to be stuff. I have planned that we're going to be opening up as of January. I think that could be as soon as November, depending on how things go together and how material lead times are and how the subcontractor pool is down there, frankly. But we're planning on January and then rolling up at full bore by, March, April is really coming into the swing of things in there. So that's how things would work. Craig shares with Rise and Shine, loves Mac. He is going to be watching Mac for the first couple of months while I'm down here getting landed. And then once it's past the really heat of the summer, then Mac is going to be coming down with me just down here as we're building this place out. So thoughts on that?
I think you should leave Mac here. He's pretty special. So this is really like a combination of Thrive and Tradecraft, correct? It's the kind of clientele you're looking for, may just want office space.
Well, I'd really like it to be only the culture of Tradecraft. We might get folks in here, we will get folks in here that are just going to be geared more towards the office space, but we have to keep the culture to where it's construction or it's builder focused. There might be some outliers there. You know, we've got Omnique here, we've got a few others that add to the mix, but they really gel with our culture. So that has to stay. But it will be that they're focused more on their needs are primarily office and conference room. They're too big for a basement, but they're too small for 3,000, 5,000 square feet and a 5-year agreement. Any other shots across the bow? Any holes you guys see with this? This is really don't say what I think I want to hear. If you think I'm really off base on this, please let me know.
I think you're right on track. I mean, I love the building. I think it really fits what you're trying to do. I think your floor plan's great and allows, you know, like you said, for companies to expand, which is important. I mean, that's really the type of tenants you're looking for is, you know, like you said, bigger than a garage, but not as big as a 3,000 or 5,000 square foot. You know, so somebody that a company that can grow. I love the golf simulator. I think that's great because, you know, really trying to bring that culture and bring the people together to feel that that culture is awesome. I think you're doing great, Bryce. It'll work out well.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love the space, you know. I mean, other than those few concerns I had about like how comfortable people are going to be. I mean, it seems the architecture is awesome. And, you know, like I said, you've got plenty of room on that south facing roof. Not only could you get SolEx technology, but depending on the rate structure of the utility, you could possibly look at PV in the future. You have a huge barrel exposure for that. So you could really get your energy costs down, especially in Phoenix, if you're going to be using a lot of air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think the space is sweet, you know, excited to get started.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that was it. I appreciate everybody's time. If you start thinking of anything else, let me know. And also, if you know anybody or have any connections down in Phoenix, I'd love to just meet contractors down there. Either walk through this or just let them know we're coming. And there's going to be some folks that think we're crazy and other people that can't wait for us to move down there. So we'll make a splash either way. Cool. All right, guys.
Okay, thanks, Bryce.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Take it easy.
See ya.